Hello there, welcome to my channel. Welcome to So Much Sewing. My name is Catherine. This channel is all about my home sewing adventures. And this week I'm going to be talking to you about this t-shirt. Well, it's a t-shirt dress. I adapted it slightly from the Ellie Mac Oversized Tee t-shirt. You'll see one of the pictures, the fabric is almost exactly the same. So as soon as I saw this fabric, that t-shirt popped into my mind. I think sometimes if you have been sewing for a long time and you are, sort of intermediate to advanced, or if you have a particular sort of style aesthetic in mind, you like something a little bit different, a little bit off the beaten track, I think sometimes you can forget about the tried and true, the more well, I want to use the word basic, but I don't mean that in any negative way whatsoever. But yeah, I think you sometimes forget about some of the more mainstream patterns. You can adapt any pattern any way that you want, depending on your skill level, and I'm no great expert at these things. I don't think I'm a technically minded or very clever or very advanced sewer at all, but if I decide that I might be able to make a change to a pattern, then I'll give it a go. And most often it works out, not always. Things are seldom 100% perfect, but if they are good enough to wear and, the fit is good enough, at least as good enough as you get from a store-bought item, then hey, I think that is a success. So to start at the beginning, I think you guys know by now that I, these days, buy at least some of my fabrics. I don't buy a lot of fabrics at the moment because I have a cupboard full over there of beautiful fabric, but I have a bunch of fabrics. So I don't buy a lot of fabric these days, but I do keep an eye out on our secondhand selling platform online, and I do pick up patterns and I do pick up fabrics. And I saw this fabric here. It was listed as a knit, didn't say it was cotton or rayon or viscose or anything like that. It had no, makeup, didn't tell me what the fabric was made of. And so I thought, it's probably not cotton, it's probably not all cotton, maybe it's got some cotton or viscose in it or whatever, but it was very cheap. And so I thought, oh, what the heck? And I knew that I wanted to make an oversized sort of tee dress for our upcoming spring and summer. It's an absolutely gorgeous day here. We're, 9 days into spring or whatever it is. The sun is out. It is gorgeous. It's not that warm, but, it makes you feel like spring is well and truly here. So I wanted a springy, summery type of oversized dress. The Ellie Mac Oversized Tee pattern was perfect, but I wanted it to be a dress, a long dress. So I just, lengthened the pattern, just extended it by the length that I needed to make it a long dress. And I wanted it to have splits up the side. I made a size XL. Let me check that. Yes, I made a size XL. And it's got a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which I think is about 5 centimeters. The fabric that they said for you to use was 2-way stretch. This fabric has a reasonable amount of stretch. Oh, sorry, something fell over behind the camera. Never mind. It's got a reasonable amount of stretch this way, but there's none this way. So I cut out the XL, and then I thought, oh yeah, no, it's only 1-way stretch. So what I did is I actually extended the pattern by 5 centimeters all around the circumference. I added an extra 5 centimeters or 1/4 inch all the way around because I thought it might make a difference. I know it's an oversized t-shirt, but I thought it might make a difference not having a stretch this way to how it fit. In hindsight, I don't really think so. I probably didn't need to do that, but I did, because I knew I was putting slits up the side, I did want some extra seam allowance so that I could fold back the side of the t-shirt and sew that down to make the slits. So that's what I did. I'm not unhappy. I think it is you know, I like an oversized fit. It could be a little bit oversized. I would probably be just as happy in the straight XL with no extra seam allowance added. Either way, you know, it's much of a muchness. I like an oversized, breezy, comfy fit, and this dress does fit the bill. So as I say about this fabric, when I purchased it, I knew it probably wouldn't have much natural fibre in it, if any at all. So I did a burn test. So I held it with the tongs over the metal tray and I set fire to it, and you can see it melted. There is not a scrap of natural fibre in here. Look at all the, can you see all, it just melted. Can you see that? The fabric turned black and it melted. It went up in flames and it smelled like, you know, burning plastic. It's burning plastic. It's a nice big open weave, so it will let some breeze through. It's probably not going to be the coolest item in my wardrobe over the spring-summer period, but it's going to suit many days, you know, unless it's roasting super duper hot. This will be nice enough to wear, you know, quite breezy. It's got the slits up the side. I also used Mariflex. I love Mariflex thread. It just makes sewing with knits so much easier. You don't have to muck around with doing a zigzag stitch. You can sew a straight stitch. Way you go. I always use Mariflex when I sew with knits. There is one thing I would say about Mariflex though, is that it's got a really low melting point. Ask me how I know. I have melted a few seams. Bear that in mind. You need a lower heat on your iron when you are ironing Mariflex. I did encounter a bit of difficulty sewing this fabric because, I mean, we all know jersey has a tendency to roll to the front like that, but this just seemed to be, it's a lot more rolly. It's a lot more rolly to the front. And so I found that a bit tricky. In hindsight, of course, I should have used my walking foot. Would have made the process a lot easier. I came up with a couple of little tricks to help me, but the walking foot would have helped. But the neckline here was really tricky to sew because I had the band, obviously you cut the band, you fold it in half, so you've got two edges that are rolling together that way or rolling the other way. And then you've also got the neckline of the t-shirt, which is rolling as well. So you've got three very rolly edges to try and work with. And it's not a hugely wide band. This one I ended up widening it a little bit. So you've got these three rolly edges and not much room. You know, like ideally you would sort of try and sew further away from the edge so you can make sure that you've got all your three edges flat. So I tried pretty hard. I put my stitch speed down as low as I could go without falling asleep at the wheel. And I just took my time. I was very, very careful. And I sewed what I thought was a beautiful neckband on my t-shirt. But then when I finished sewing, luckily I had not, well, actually it probably didn't matter in the end, but I hadn't overlocked it. I sewed it with my Mariflex thread, just a straight stitch. When I'm sewing knits, I don't very often sew the whole thing on the overlocker or the serger. I normally do use my Mariflex and sew it all together first and then finish the edges. So I did that. And I realised that there were bits of the rolled up jersey poking out on this side and on the inside. So I started unpicking it very carefully because it's a very holey fabric. It's a very big weave. So I very carefully started unpicking it, and I did unpick some. And when I was unpicking, I actually unpicked a bit of the thread in the fabric. So I ended up with a run in the front, of course, a ladder. So in the end, what I did is I just cut the neck off. So will have ended up with a slightly wider neck hole, which is actually a good thing because I don't think this is too wide at all. So I cut the neckband off. I cut a big wide strip of this fabric and I fused some knit interfacing because I wanted to keep it stable, so I didn't have all that curly whirly bit going on at the edges, and made the band wider and then cut it out. And so that way I had a nice stable edge. When I folded the band in half, I had two nice stable edges, and then I just had to worry about one curly whirly edge here. Then I went ahead and overlocked it. So I think, and then I stitched it down using my top stitching foot. Is it top stitching foot? No, what is it? It's an edge stitching foot, I think they call it. And then for the hems on the sleeves, and also the hems on the bottom of the dress, I tried something a bit different. On one sleeve and on one hem, the front or the back, I think it was the back, I just folded up, pressed a centimetre in, and then folded it in a centimetre, and then I stitched it down with my Mariflex thread. But what I did on the other sleeve hem and the other hem of the t-shirt is I used some of this, hemming tape. So it's basically interfacing, iron-on interfacing. So it sticks both sides. And so what you do is you stick it to your fabric. Well, actually you don't stick it, pin it to your fabric, and then you can fold it down like that and press it, and both sides stick to your fabric. So I did that to give me a stable edge to sew on, and I think that worked pretty well. You could also, if you could be bothered, cutting a strip that narrow, like a centimetre narrow, you could use knit interfacing as well. That would help to give you a stable edge that you could then fold under and sew down, and not have the fabric buck and curl and do all sorts of crazy things underneath your presser foot. So there we go. That is my Ellie Mac Oversized Tee. This pattern comes in sizes extra small to 7XL. What an amazing size range that is. Ellie and Mac have got great instructions. They've got great support. I think I said earlier, I feel like it's a bit easy to get caught up in looking for something a little bit off the beaten track if you've been sewing for a long time, or if you've got, your taste, personal dress sense is a little bit different. It doesn't mean to say you can't alter a tried and true basic pattern to do what you need it to. But that's all I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you are and whatever you're doing. I hope you're thinking about sewing, if not actually doing some sewing. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. See you later.